And Trey Gowdy, Fox News contributor, former South Carolina congressman, former chairman of the House Government and Oversight Committee, and author of that book right there, Doesn't Hurt to Ask. Good morning to you, Trey.
Good morning, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I'm sure you watched the debate last night. What were your top takeaways?
The president did exponentially better than he did in the first debate, and I kind of lamented the lack of certain follow-up questions. Ashley, you know, Joe Biden said no mandatory minimums in the law. I mean, he said that last night, which means that murderers and child rapists and sexual assaulters are eligible for probation, if he really believes that. But there was no follow-up. I still don't know who the big guy is. I didn't hear the moderator ask Joe Biden who the big guy is. So the lack of follow-up questions, but the president, I thought, did exponentially better than he did the first time.
So let's talk about this, because the other networks aren't even. They say it's a smear campaign. He actually said the Russians put Rudy Giuliani up to this. There are two different things, two different islands. Number one, is it Hunter's laptop? Number two, is that his signature? And number three, isn't that an FBI receipt that picked it up? Tell me where the Russians come into that, Trey.
Well, they don't, which is why the only relevant question is whether or not the underlying material is authentic. Right. If it's authentic, then he needs to be asked about it. It may be that he did not discuss the information with Hunter, in which case he would want to know, if he's going to be the president, that his son is trafficking in his name and his position. But it's only a Fox story right now. Fox and a handful of print. You will see more stories about Rudy Giuliani's film debut, which I don't want to see, but you'll see more stories about that than you will whether or not Joe Biden's family was trafficking in his name and his position.
But the Marine would have to have lied for that not to be true. Did that Marine look like he was lying yesterday?
Yeah. Do you remember Colonel Vendeman? You remember when we had to believe everyone in uniform? Without question, we had to believe everyone in uniform. Hey, this guy was in a uniform too, but the media has a different standard to Republican scandals versus Democrat scandals.
Well, it was pretty clear the president wanted to bring up the whole thing with this Joe Bobulinski guy, which is the cover of the New York Post today, congressman. The moderator eventually did bring up Hunter's business dealings, but nonetheless, the president feels this way about what we've learned a little about. Watch.
All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And, Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe. You're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about?
You know, but here's the thing. Congressman, you know that over the last couple of months, Joe Biden has, for the most part, just stayed at home. They say in his basement. We haven't verified that, but maybe he is in his basement. And so far, it's worked for him. Going forward, if nobody else does this story other than the New York Post, the radio, and Fox News, is it really going to matter?
No. It's not going to matter. I mean, the DOJ and the FBI, I get the calls for a special counsel. I don't agree with them, but I get them. Nothing's going to happen before the election. The media provides oversight in non-criminal matters.
Exactly.
And the New York Times and the Washington Post, they could care less about this story. They don't want to know who the big guy is, and they don't want to know whether Hunter Biden was trafficking in his father's name. I think it's relevant. I think the American people either want to know or should want to know.
What's next? What's the other question you need to know? Because this Marine is meeting with Ron Johnson today to talk about how Joe Biden was to be dealt with one-on-one, not in texts. Doesn't that show there's something there?
Yeah. Usually when you don't want your name mentioned. And look, the whole tax return defense, I mean, I don't want to be cynical, but lots of people who engage in impropriety don't include that information on their tax returns.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is only going to be a relevant story if the media applies the same level of scrutiny to Joe Biden that they did. Look, the Ukraine call got Donald Trump impeached. And you mean to tell me these emails can't even get the New York Times interest?
It would have changed impeachment.
No.
Pardon me?
All right, we got to go.
Oh, yeah, it would. Yeah.
It
Thank
would
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman.